Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into a really big one, a stack of sources here detailing that huge real estate investment scheme run by Cesar Pina. But, the angle we're really focusing on isn't just Pina. It's the celebrity who was, well, right there beside him, DJ Envy, Raashaun Casey. Lots of people jump to conclusions about his guilt. But if you really look at the federal documents, his legal position, it's way more nuanced than just guilty or innocent. Okay, let's unpack this.
Absolutely. This whole situation is, it's practically a case study in legal strategy. And for you, the listener, the key thing we're pulling out today is this critical difference, legally speaking, between being a cooperating witness, basically, a victim helping the prosecutors, and a cooperating defendant. That's someone who's actually facing charges and trying to make a deal. Envy's team, well, they executed a strategy that seems to have put him firmly in that first category, the witness-victim one.
And understanding how they did that and why it's such a big deal, that's our mission today.
Exactly.
So to get the stakes, we need to start with the fraud itself. What the sources lay out is that Cesar Pina ran essentially a classic Ponzi scheme. Pretty sophisticated, though. It was going on between roughly 2017 and 2023. And he wasn't selling, stocks or bonds. He was selling the dream, getting rich quick with real estate fix and flips. He'd pull in huge investments, promise these crazy returns.
But it was all smoke and mirrors. The sources show the money from the new investors was just being used to pay off the earlier ones. Classic Ponzi.
Plus, Pina was skimming millions off the top for himself.
Oh, yeah. Luxury cars, designer clothes, you name it. And laundering the money through various shell companies to try and hide it.
Okay, so where does Envy fit into this mess? How did he get tangled up?
Well, it started, or at least was presented as, a legit business partnership, but it pretty quickly turned into Envy becoming, maybe unwittingly, a massive promotional engine for Pina's whole operation.
He wasn't just a silent partner then?
Not at all. He was front and center, co-hosting these big real estate seminars all over the country. Think about it. Huge venues, packed with people excited to invest.
And his celebrity status gave it all a sheen of credibility, right?
Absolutely. He'd promote the opportunities on his radio show, reaching millions. When a celebrity you trust is standing next to a guy promising big returns, a lot of people let their guard down. That endorsement was powerful.
Okay, but here's a crucial detail from the documents. Envy wasn't just promoting it. He actually invested his own money.
A lot of it. $500,000. $500,000 went into Pina's operation from Envy himself.
Wow. Okay.
And that fact, that $500,000 loss, becomes the absolute cornerstone of his defense. It's tough for prosecutors to paint someone as a knowing partner in crime when they lost a huge chunk of their own cash in the very same scheme.
So it strongly suggests that he was a victim, too.
Exactly. It helps establish that legal footing. A victim, sure, but one whose fame unfortunately helped draw in other victims. It's complicated.
Right. So this is where it gets really interesting, like you said, defining his actual legal status now. His lawyers confirmed he was fully cooperating with the feds pretty quickly after Pina got arrested.
Yes, but the key phrase here, repeated in the sources, is voluntary witness cooperation.
Okay, voluntary witness. Why is that specific label so important? Why not just say he got an immunity deal or something?
Because those immunity deals, plea bargains, they usually imply you had some kind of criminal liability, some exposure you needed to negotiate away.
Gotcha. So it suggests you might have been guilty of something even if you don't get charged.
Precisely. Being a voluntary witness, though, that frames it completely differently. You're just doing your civic duty. You saw a crime. Maybe you were even a victim of it, and you're helping the authorities.
So it keeps his image cleaner and maybe makes his testimony sound more credible in court?
Much more credible. He's presented purely as a victim helping bring the bad guy to justice, not someone trying to save their own skin. It's smart positioning.
What backs up this victim witness status, according to the sources?
Well, several things. First, and most obviously, despite this massive federal investigation, no criminal charges have been filed against DJ Envy. That's huge.
Okay.
Second, there's that documented $500,000 personal loss we talked about. Third, the feds seem to lack hard evidence that he knew the whole thing was a sham, that he had criminal intent.
So he promoted it, but the argument is he believed it was legitimate, like the other investors.
That seems to be the case. The evidence supports, yeah. He was promoting what he thought was a real opportunity. His actions looked like an unwitting celebrity endorsement that went terribly wrong.
But I have to ask, critics push back on this, right? They say, look, $500,000 is a lot of money, sure, But for a guy like DJ Envy, maybe it's not a devastating loss. Could it be seen as like the cost of doing business to buy victim status?
That's a fair question people raise. But legally, it boils down to knowledge and intent. Did he know it was a Ponzi scheme? Could the prosecution prove that beyond a reasonable doubt? The sources suggest they couldn't find that smoking gun showing he knew. Yeah. And his behavior after the collapse supports the victim narrative, too. His cooperation wasn't just saying, yeah, I'll talk. It was extensive.
What did that cooperation actually involve?
Providing tons of financial records, everything detailing his business relationship with Pina, specifics about how the seminars were run, who attended.
The whole inside view from his perspective.
Exactly. And stating he was willing to testify against Pina in court. And look at the timeline. The feds ordered documents on December 20th, 2023. Envy's team had everything turned over by January 5th, 2024. That's fast.
Yeah, that's quick compliance. Sends a message.
It signals eagerness to help, not obstruct, which fits the witness-victim profile, not the cornered co-conspirator one.
Okay, so this strategy helps him avoid criminal charges. But what about the civil side? All those other investors who lost millions. Surely they're coming after him too.
Oh, absolutely. That's the other side of this coin. Avoiding jail is one thing. Avoiding massive civil lawsuits is another. The civil liability is almost guaranteed.
So how does being a cooperating witness help there?
It helps manage the narrative and potentially mitigate damages. By publicly cooperating, establishing himself as a fellow victim who also lost money, his legal team builds a strong public record. They can argue in civil court, look, he acted in good faith, he was fooled too, and he helped bring Pina down.
So it's maybe not a shield against being sued, but maybe against like massive punitive damages. Makes him look less like a villain and more like someone caught in the crossfire.
That seems to be the strategic goal, yes. It's about framing his role and intent.
Let's pivot then and connect his cooperation to what was happening with Pina himself. Because Pina's situation got way worse, didn't it?
It really did. So Pina gets arrested October 18th, 2023, initially just on the Ponzi scheme charges.
And interestingly, right after that, Pina actually tried to protect Envy publicly. Said something like, Envy was never in the room with me.
He did, but Pina's own legal troubles quickly spiraled. By February 2024, both he and his wife Jennifer were facing arrest orders for not turning over documents. That suggests obstruction.
Not cooperating like Envy was.
The opposite. And then, well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, things got dramatically worse for Pina, which, in turn, made Envy's potential testimony even more valuable to the prosecution.
How so?
In July 2025, so well after the initial arrest, a federal grand jury hit Pina with a superseding indictment.
Okay, what does that mean for people who don't follow legal jargon?
It's bad news for the defendant. It means the prosecution found more evidence after the first indictment, and they're adding new, often much more serious charges. It basically resets the whole case, usually with higher stakes.
A superseding indictment.
Yeah.
Sounds serious. What new charges did they add?
This is where it goes beyond just real estate fraud. The sources say the new charges included things like conspiracy to launder drug proceeds.
Yeah.
Money laundering tied to federal sting operations, and, get this, bribery of New Jersey political officials.
Whoa. Okay, so this blew up way beyond a simple investment scam. This is alleged organized crime stuff now.
Exactly. It paints a picture of deep systemic corruption allegedly involving Pina.
So Pina went from facing, what, maybe 10, 20 years for the fraud to
potentially facing over 70 years in federal prison. The sources say he pleaded not guilty to everything, the plea talks broke down, and now it's headed for trial.
70-plus years. That kind of pressure.
Yeah.
It makes a credible witness like Envy incredibly important for the prosecution's case, doesn't it?
Immensely important. When you're trying to prove a complex web of financial crimes, money laundering, maybe even bribery, you need witnesses who can connect the dots. Envy's testimony about how the scheme was promoted, the celebrity endorsement that drew people in, the financial flows he saw, the documents he has, it becomes vital evidence.
It links that public-facing promotion directly to the alleged criminal enterprise underneath.
Precisely. It helps show the jury how the whole thing worked, from recruitment to the alleged laundering.
So let's wrap our heads around the implications. What does all this maneuvering mean for everyone involved? For the prosecutors?
For the prosecution, Envy delivers several key things. 1, testimony about how his celebrity status lent credibility, showing how victims were drawn in. 2, crucial documentation. 3, powerful victim impact testimony, potentially.
And for DJ Envy himself, this strategy seems to have worked out, legally speaking.
From what we can see in the public record, yes. It appears to be a successful strategy to First, minimize or eliminate his criminal exposure by establishing that victim witness status.
Backed by his own losses.
Right. And second, it sets up his defense posture for all those civil suits that are likely coming or already underway. It helps frame him as someone who was also wronged.
Which brings us to the PR angle, because how this looks matters, right?
Right.
Especially for a public figure.
Absolutely critical. The way his cooperation was framed publicly was clearly intentional. Emphasize the victim part, downplay any hint of knowing participation, show good faith by helping the authorities and, by extension, helping the other victims get justice. It's reputation management 101 in a crisis.
Even with critics like Dame Dash suggesting it was maybe more calculated, maybe some kind of deal was cut behind the scenes.
Well, criticism is expected in high-profile cases, but based on the available legal documents, the court orders for compliance, the lack of any filed plea agreement or immunity grant the evidence points towards voluntary witness cooperation, not a secret deal.
So the public record supports his narrative.
It seems to. It really underscores the tightrope celebrities walk when their fame gets entangled with shady business deals, even if they didn't know how shady they were at the time.
Okay, so the big takeaway here seems to be DJ Envy faced a potential disaster, legally and reputationally. But by acting quickly, cooperating fully, and having that crucial $500,000 personal loss to point to, he successfully positioned himself as a cooperating victim and witness.
Yeah, he navigated a minefield. The key wasn't getting a deal to avoid charges. It was apparently demonstrating he never met the threshold for being charged because he lacked criminal knowledge.
It's a fascinating legal distinction.
It really is, and it leaves us with a pretty important final thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Okay, let's hear it.
Given how essential DJ Envy's celebrity endorsement was to Pina's ability to attract investors and raise millions, what level of responsibility, maybe even legal duty, should we expect from famous promoters? How much homework should they have to do before lending their name to something like this? And even if they are genuinely unwitting, how does the law balance holding them accountable for the power of their influence versus recognizing them as victims themselves when a deal goes bad? It's a tough question, especially as influencer marketing keeps growing.
That is a really thorny question about due diligence and responsibility in the modern age. Something to definitely think about. Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Hopefully you feel much better informed about the complex legal situation surrounding DJ Envy and the Cesar Pina case. Thanks for joining us.
Catch you next time.